Welcome into the Bobby Carpenter Show. We got a big show for you today. Coming off of, I guess my phone, coming off of Schleik's the um,
What, the
48
Rutgers?
well,
We
the
got
40.
Rutgers week. You talking about UCLA? What do we got?
Well, we're coming off the 48-10 victory over UCLA. It was a beautiful night in the Horseshoe. I thought the weather was tremendous. Um, the team played really well. It didn't necessarily feel like the best game that you were going to see, but
Mm.
well, I mean, not that like offensively, like there was probably I would say Julian's, I don't know, Schleich is appropriate to say his worst game of the year. Like, is that okay to say that? I mean, it wasn't overly impressive. In the second half, first half he looked good. Came away. There's some guys got nicked up in some things, but there was some highlight moments. Obviously, the James Peoples hurdle was amazing. You had Sonny or Lorenzo Styles touchdown, kickoff return for the first touchdown, first one since 2010. Do you know who the last person was to return a touchdown?
Jordan Hall.
There you go. And you were where, Schleich, during that time?
2010, I wasn't there. I came in right after that season, but I do remember. I mean,
That's right.
I
That's right. Yeah, that was Tress's last year. You came in after that, immediately after. Okay. I was thinking you were on the sideline for that one. But there was some good stuff. Kind of,
I think Jordan actually had a punt return for a touchdown maybe the following year or something like that.
Yeah, we've had punt returns much more recently. Jalen Marshall, I know, had one.
Yes.
Like, it's been 15 years, though, like, since we've had a kickoff return to the house. That is a crazy long time. But if you look at the caliber of athletes that Ohio State turns out, and like the skill positions, whether it's DBs or receivers and running backs that would return punts and kickoffs, the fact that it's been 15 years since they had that, I mean, I felt like I was almost like the old lady on Titanic talking about it. It's been 15 years since we've returned to kickoff. And Jordan Hall went out, or Jordan Hall did it. And then it was great to see Lorenzo Styles do that. And it's funny, Shows. I talked to Sonny this morning, and you saw him like right down there with his brother, just like hyping him up, loving on him, and which is exactly what you would expect. From two guys that are brothers. I mean, literally brothers. Like, it's not just the brotherhood, but like genetically brothers. And I asked Sonny, I go, have you scored a touchdown? And he was like, no, I haven't. I was like, well, it's like, neither did I. I go, I went through 4 years of Ohio State, no touchdowns. So I got 7 years in the NFL, I got one. And I'm like, they're really tough to get. And he's like, you're telling me. So I go, it's so special to score a touchdown in the shoe. And that's what was so excited for Lorenzo to be able to do that, because his brother is coach, like, the star. I mean, he's such a big time guy, and it's great to see him kind of get his due and kind of have his moment in the sun, if you will.
Yeah, 100%. Well, so you went to the game. Give me the vibe, give me the feel. I mean, this has been a dude flipping season. We're getting recruits there. People are flipping everywhere. Guys are going into from 4 stars to 5 stars. Like, what was the environment at the beginning of that game that got it so frothy?
It was sweet. Well, because it's 60 degrees, and
Yep.
I'll give you a little bit of inside baseball with this. So I told you we had the tennis guys that were here. My man, they go by their last names, Jonesy and Mac. And they lost on Friday after the show. Went over there. They lost in the semifinals. So that kind of stunk. But with that, I said, hey.
That was a good game, 17-16, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Well, I wasn't talking about the high school football game. I'm talking about the tennis guys who lost in the semifinals of their tournament over at Ohio State at the Ty Tucker Tennis Center. And so these dudes have been staying. Did I not tell you this last week? These dudes have been staying.
No, you told me that. I asked McLean about it. I asked, like, do they, speak it in English?
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Because one's from Hungary and one's from the UK.
Yeah, so they speak English in England. It's pretty remarkable how that goes. Like, we speak English in America, but we
speak real English.
Yeah, they speak the King's English. So I said, hey, why don't you guys stay since you lost, and stay another night? Just fly out on Sunday, and I'll take you to the game. And it was awesome. We forget about this because we've been to the stadium, you're around it all the time, and they were over on campus, but they're up by the Woody, and some of that. And they saw the stadium, but they didn't get a chance to see it up close. So they get down there, and I was trying to explain to them tailgating. which is
Mm.
wild. Like the concept of tailgating is it's an American thing. Like in Europe, they've been playing soccer. They get these huge stadiums. I'm like, so people don't like hang out. I'm like, you guys just go to pubs. Yeah, you go to pubs and you drink and you do whatever. That's kind of like tailgating, but people here, like they do it outside. You pull your car up, you get the tents, you get grills, you get food, you make a whole day of it. And it's a lot of fun. And so I was like, we'll go down there, hang out. I was like, Jonesy, I promise you won't buy a drink all day. Cause he's like, I think I spent all my prize money at the bar the night before. So I was like, you won't spend any money. I go, it'll be a great setup. You'll be able to eat and drink. And they loved barbecue. It's like, this is amazing food, mate. This is so great. But I'm like, well, he's had a couple beers, but it was some pretty good barbecue he had, at the tailgate. And then as we're getting ready to go to the stadium, and it was awesome. I'll have to send over the picture. I don't know where my phone is. I'll send the picture into the chat so you guys can throw it up. But we got a picture right in the North Rotunda, and it's cool because later in the year for night games, it's completely dark at the start of the game. It's like Tennessee last year, Schleich. So they've got the rotundas uplit. It looks unbelievable. And we're walking. We're like, I want to get a picture. Just the three of us. Just the three of us. So RJ, my son, was there. And by the way, RJ, they also wanted to go to some real American frat parties. So I don't know how. We're north of the stadium, and I was up. They went down before me, and RJ guided them down there, and they rode their bikes in, did a good job with it. I was at Cullen's basketball game, so I got there a little later. I was like, I'll meet you. I couldn't find them, and they're like, well, we decided to take a walk. They walked all the way over to like High Street and like 15th, 16th over there. My wife tagged him on his Apple locations, and like, yeah, they found it. I don't know how RJ got them there or how these guys who knows? I mean, he knew probably the general vicinity because I had told him like, yeah, that's where your mom and I used to live. That's where all the fraternity and sororities are. So they went over there, and then they came back, and he goes, oh man, it was amazing. They go, they let you in. He goes, I went up, I asked him, what is this? What's going on? And I go, where are you from? And he's like, I'm from England. So come on in. And of course, they let my son in with him. He had my jersey on as well. And so they came back, though. We're getting ready to take this picture in front, and the lights are down. It's dusk. It looks unreal. And he's like, mate, this looks like Rome. And like we forget how many times that we've seen the stadium, and the stadium is emblematic of the Coliseum. Like it was designed after the Coliseum with the big rotunda and with the pillars and the columns and everything that goes into it. It was meant to look a lot like the Roman Coliseum. And I'd never really thought about that when I'd been here with someone to hear their comment on it, that it looks like Rome. And my man, Schleich, he gave me some Uzbekistan money. It's probably worth like 25 cents American. We gave it to Caleb, my youngest son. I mean, this dude's been all over. He's played tennis tournaments all over the world. And for him to say, like, it's amazing and it reminds me of Rome, you just forget that that's how it was designed and how unbelievably spectacular it is. And then they get ready to run out Schleich. They're playing War Pigs. They got everything going. And he like looks, he's like, mate, I got chills. He's like, this is amazing. So I feel like I'm going to cry. And it was so good. Like I was so happy for them to be able to experience it all and to see it all and to go through it. And we had them walking around, and I took them up. They got a chance to meet Ross and President Ted Carter, who was coming through, just incredibly gracious host. So it was really, really cool. And
kind of
really
like Pretorius, like all those guys that are from different countries, right? Camp Johnson, when they first see it or get to experience it, it's eye opening. Because I remember playing the game in London with the Jaguars, and you pull up to the stadium, and it's like literally in the town, and they just walk there. And then when you're leaving, you're going out to where your bus. People are just walking back to wherever they live. Yeah. It's right there. It's just completely different. The parking situation, the ability to tailgate. It's awesome. They had a great time. What was your biggest takeaway? Like really good things, Bob, from that game? Because I had some good ones. I mean, like you said, you had Jeremiah's one-handed catch. You had the hurdle. You had Bo with a big run. You had Isaiah West with a big run. You had a bunch of dudes getting reps that normally don't get reps and doing very well. What were some other ones you got?
Well, I think that's part of it. Some of the younger guys, got some reps, so that was key. You mentioned the one thing I'm really disappointed in is the fact that Nico Iamaleava came out that he wasn't going to play Saturday morning, and that's what we had talked. What are we excited to see? I was excited to see how the edges and the linebackers, the second level players, how they handled, rushing the quarterback, keeping him in the pocket, spying him. Because I thought it was going to be really good work for them coming up, not this week against Rutgers, but against Michigan with Brandon Underwood, their quarterback. He's a big physical athlete, and it's tough to replicate that, and especially in a game situation. And so I was looking forward to watching Sonny and Arvell and Caden and Kenyatta and all these guys try to pin him in. When he does get out, like, what do their angles look like? Their closing speed. Are they able to tackle and get him to the ground? Because he's not quite like Vince Young status, but he was 6'5", 215. Like, he's a big guy. And unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to see that. So that's what I was really most looking forward to. What I really liked was before the end of the half, after the shanked punt, by UCLA, being able to go bing, bang, boom, and go get points and get a field goal before the end of the half. That to me was good. I enjoy watching us work those special situations, just the same as I did with Purdue getting points before half, trying to work on some 2-minute-ish situations, because that's not something that they get a lot of work in now, because they haven't been trailing at any games in the second half.
And that goes back to where you're probably Julian's not his greatest performance, solid, right? But even on that one, it was the terrible punt that went right into Curry's chest, and then they threw that kind of deep slant wheel combo, and he had the deeper slant because the guy was on top. He had the leverage and chose to go with the wheel route. That's what, so you guys know, that's what Ryan was talking to him about. Is you have the guy on top of him, throw it inside, touchdown, right? Or at least balls on the 5 with an opportunity of what you want to do, call a timeout, but you still get points going into half. I would say this: I thought Edric Houston played really well. I thought our Gabe Van Sickle played really well.
Yeah, Gabe played a lot.
He did. He played a lot at right guard. That left side line, Luke Montgomery, they even made a statement about that he's nasty and not in a bad way, but he wants to finish dudes. And there were some other things too. We talk about Jelani and we talk about tight ends at Ohio State. There was two. There was one play where Jelani blocked this dude into the stands. And somebody in the chat somebody hit me up on Twitter. I was like, yeah, I know. I watched it because I was watching the TV copy. I just saw a guy. But then also he had a huge block on that kickoff return for a touchdown. Yeah. And that's when you guys are getting juiced up for making a big block, that's when you know that you have the right culture, because they're enjoying the physicality that comes with playing and doing whatever is asked of them to do. And the other thing too is everybody in this game, Jeremiah played in the first half. It was predominantly Brandon Ennis. Brandon made some great contested hard catches in this game. So it's another person that you can't sleep on when you have 11 personnel. The dude can do a lot of things. Max had some, good catches in this game. But overall, defensively, guys, remember, it was 0-0. And then they scored the 10 points, and you had a lot of twos in there. And that is the standard. But they did a couple of man beaters, Bob, and one of them was on Sanchez, and he kind of got rubbed off. Sounds terrible. He learned a lesson, right? He kind of got picked off by one of his own guys. And whenever you're playing man, you have to know that there has to be levels, right? Do I go under? Do I go over? What does that look like? Consequently, they ran the same play to the other side of the field. Guess what? Had a good level. Made a tackle for 3 yards. To me, that's growth. I don't think people just quite understand what that is, but you're calling certain things in those situations to see how those guys play. It might not be the most ideal call. You could have said, hey, man, we're just going to play zone all the time, but that's not getting them the reps that they need to get in these situations that matter, especially when you're dominating the game in which the Buckeyes did. I just want everybody to know it's all right, we could easily do some things, but we don't have to. Let's let these guys develop and learn and figure this out in real time. And to your point about Nico, I thought it was funny. Somebody mentioned this too, that you had a concussion, but then you fly him out. That is the absolute worst thing that you should do. But I was intrigued about him coming, Bob, because of what you look down the road.
Yeah.
And you said Underwood absolutely in the Michigan game, but also Amatir is a physical. He will go and get yards. Stockton, we saw in the Texas game, he will go and get yards. What is that running quarterback who has that potential? They're not maybe as athletic as a Nico or a Damon Williams, but they can still run the football. What does that containment look like on the perimeter in those situations as you begin to get in the college football playoff hunt?
Yeah, very, very interesting. And it's good to see. There's a ton of crazy stuff that happened. We'll get into across college football. We'll get into a little more of that with Bill Bender. There's still a couple other avenues I want to talk about with this Ohio State game. You mentioned, the wide receivers. We'll get into that. I want to talk, about Brandon Innes, his ability to step up, and Rodgers and some of the other guys that were able to make plays as well. Mylan Graham, and kind of get into that a little bit, and then talk about the health of this team and kind of what this week needs to look like leading into next week, and how that's going to impact everything. So we'll get to all that. So stay locked in here with us. Keep firing your questions away. I know there's a lot of stuff swirling around. We'll get to everything that we can for you and try to help maybe ease some of your concerns, if you will, with how these guys are playing and their injuries and the status of everything. So we'll let you know all of that. But first, message from our friends at FanDuel. It's NBA tip-off week, and FanDuel, it's your home for live betting. So even if you missed the start of the game or you just want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score the next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into an SGP. That's right, a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. However you want to play, now is the perfect time to join because FanDuel is giving away new customers $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So just visit FanDuel.com/bigplay to sign up today. Play your game with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 older in present Ohio or 21 older in present Pennsylvania. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issue is non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. More of the Bobby Carpenter Show coming up next. All right, welcome into the Bobby Carpenter Show. We appreciate you guys. And Slikes, what's interesting this game, he did tie. Jeremiah Smith had 4 catches for 40 yards. But I think this is the first game that either him or Carnell Tate didn't have the most receiving yards or catches in the game. Brandon Innes
or a touchdown between either one of them.
Bryson Rodgers had that nice touchdown, Schlegs. I thought he did a heck of a job. And he's a guy that's been developing, they've been working on. And, this is what is probably the most impressive thing that I've seen, with Ryan Day, is his ability in this whole coaching staff and really the culture and everything of just to keep those guys engaged.
Yep.
Even when you're not playing and maybe you're not the featured guy. Bryson Rodgers, probably not playing as much as he wanted. Quincy Porter was playing a little more early on. He come in for JJ, and then Mylan Graham came in. Maybe he had a drop last week, but these guys they kept him engaged. James Peoples, they kept him engaged, and so now you saw him. He felt like he really had a nice rhythm out there. He was running the ball effectively, in the second half, and guys are going to be able to provide value in doing so. And so it's the coach's ability to continue to just we joke about it. We say we trust the process and just process-oriented, process-driven results take care of themselves. That's something that we're beginning to see pay dividends now because it's not Carnell, it's not JJ. You're seeing these other guys who, listen, man, when I played, I was an emotional wreck. I'm, high and low and everywhere in between half the time. And so I needed everything going my way all the time. And if it wasn't, I was frustrated and get crazy. And you have to Fick would have to talk me off the ledge. So these guys, they're much better than that. All right. They're much more mature and they're able to stay there hey, I know this isn't how you probably planned or scripted it, but they stayed engaged and now they got their opportunity. And you're wow, these guys look really good.
I think it bodes well for them to actually see that play out. So there's a great thing. Saban talked about it. This was back when he was at Michigan State, but it was process over outcome. And that goes
Yeah.
back to what Ryan had him read the book of Chop Wood, Carry Water, and Embracing the Process and everything you learn. Keanu Jackson and Caden Curry are living examples of working and growing through the process. And they see that, and they see what they have been able to do this year because of how they work the process. And it wasn't easy. It's easier for some than others, right? But you look at a Carson Hintzman, you look at a Luke Montgomery, you look at an Oscar Severfeld this year, right, coming in. You're seeing some of their own classmates in an Ian Moore get an opportunity, played well last week. Boom, Philip Daniels is back. He's in there. Padilla wasn't in there, right? So Gabe got some more reps.
You just call him Padilla.
I call him Padilla.
I
Yeah. I call him that. His name is Padilla, but I call him that. Great forehead. Like you can really appreciate an offensive lineman when he has a forehead that just bows out to you, you know. Anyways, I digress. So they got living, breathing examples of that. Brandon Ennis is another guy that they're seeing in their room. So why not emulate some of those things? And when those things are the things that are of value, how you work the process and how consistent you are within the process that gets rewarded. I saw David Adolph out there. David Adolph was a walk-on guy that ended up getting a scholarship. Like there's so many examples of what they celebrate in the building, Bob, in the building, in those plays and being in front of your peers when you make a big block on a kickoff return or you make a tackle. Aaron Scott, we heard earlier in the season, right? The first one down, past the 30 on 13 or 14 consecutive kickoff returns that got him some more reps in the field. Like those things were earned, but his teammates see that and they celebrate that, right? Because you are what you emphasize. And in that building, they emphasize the process. And guys are when they are presented with the opportunity, aka like Arvell Reese, right? They're stepping up and making plays.
Yeah. And what's interesting too about that, like especially Brandon Ennis, because he's a starter and he's your third wide receiver, and he's a captain, Schlegs, as a junior. And I think people looked at this as kind of I don't want to use the term disappointing or like underachieving year, but he wasn't as productive, I think, as people believe that he could or should have been this year. And there's only one football, and like you said, but he made some great contested catches. Maybe he didn't have the most yards in the world. He had 30-some yards, I think, receiving. But 30 catches or 6 catches, 30 yards, but they were chain movers. They kept them on the field that allowed them to continue to keep those drives alive.
Yeah, 100%. And I had another one I was thinking about, Bob, that would resonate, but I lost it. So go Bucks, beat cancer. But I want to say this too. I think these games, and we're going to get into a great question that somebody had here in Tailgate Talk, but you have to have your guys have that. You can't have one of these games to where you rest guys. Like you have to go find that rhythm. You have to go get live bullets in these situations. And then guess what? There's a play limit. You're out. Next guy's in. They know this going in. The coaches are preparing these guys. And I would say this, the best thing about it, the two guys that one was out, one came out, right? And JJ and Carnell, just because they're doing that doesn't mean they're not practicing, doesn't mean that they're not working on certain things, doesn't mean that they're not preparing as though they're not going to play the entire game, even if they are out, right? Like, because that's how you add value in the room. Because you always say, Urban always said, greatness is the accumulation of great days. So you have to stack days. And granted, if I'm not getting it on the field at practice to the amount that I am, or I'm getting it in the game, then I have to make up for it in other type areas of preparation and also recover to get my body right because, the game is coming up pretty soon. But most importantly, you have Rutgers this week. And that's what that is. You go, you watch film on Sunday, you train, you get recovered. You're off on Mondays, you get more recovery. Boom, here we go, Tuesday, Bloody Tuesday. And it all starts to condense, right, as we get deeper into the season to have the healthiest, fastest, hardest playing, most violent team in the country.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see that how they treat this week. And we'll talk about it as the week goes on, trying to figure out this Rutgers team. Obviously, the spread's 30 points. I think the combined spread, Schlegs, has been like 100 points for the last 3 games when you start looking at it. And Ryan, like, to their credit, Purdue, they didn't cover. They got a backdoor at the end, touchdown that changed everything.
Backdoor bandit got
Backdoor
him.
bandit. But last week, 48-10, they covered by 38 points in a game that, like, wasn't overly impressive, that you felt like, especially with Julian and some of those guys. Didn't really touch on the injuries here. We're going to take a quick break. I got a clip of Ryan Day from the Skull session, which was awesome. And then, Shugs, I want to talk a little bit about the injuries. We're heading now into like the 11th game of the season. You got Michigan coming up, and then a playoff run after that. And some guys are starting to get nicked up. We've seen some guys not play the last couple of weeks. We'll talk about who they are, their impact on this, and what the protocol is and can be for guys coming back to trying to play at this time. But first, I'm going to tell you about our friends at Export Schlegs. Parents and athletes, protect what matters most with Export mouthguards, trusted by professional athletes, designed by NHL team dentists. They're scientifically tested to absorb those high-impact hits, protecting your teeth and your brain. Export mouthguards feature 3 layers of advanced protection, including a patented use of carbon fiber. They custom fit that thing to your own grill. It's 3D printed in there for more protection, better performance, max cover, and clear communication. So you can focus on your game, not your gear. Don't take chances with your safety. Visit exportguards.com/Bobby to save 15% on your order. Export, protect what matters most. Here we go with more of the Bobby Carpenter Show coming up next. I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage Beer. Beer-flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool and doesn't taste like I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink Garage Beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage Beer. Beer-flavored beer. All right, Schlegs. Little Ryan Day from the Skull session to get you jacked up and ready to go, Pat. So throw that up there. I heard this. I was flying high on Saturday afternoon.
Today is Military Appreciation Day. And I want to make sure all those military folks out there know how much we appreciate what you do. So that we can have nights like tonight. I mean, how great is this being all together in November to shoot for a great night? It's because of those folks that we can enjoy nights like tonight. And we don't take that for granted. We don't take that for granted. We don't take being around excellence every day for granted. The best damn fans, best team. But with that comes a great obligation by representing the great people of Ohio, the great state of Ohio, and Buckeyes all across the country. And with that obligation, we have to pour on the line every single Saturday to represent who we are as Buckeyes. And we're going to do that again today. Let's get to work. Fight on 3. 1, 2, 3, 5.
There we go, Schlegs.
That was juicy.
It was, dude. Thank the troops, getting them fired up for Military Appreciation. Schlegs, I wore the Ohio State camo hoodie that I had out there and the camo Ohio State hat with it. I felt good. Saw President Carter, thanked him for his service and just being the president of our school, and met his lovely wife as well. She was fantastic, and thanking her for living in Columbus and hopefully enjoying this place with us as much as we do. A little bit of bumpy, Schlegs. Cardinal Tate didn't play again.
Yeah.
You
saw a question about that, Bob.
Why
Why was Cardinal on street clothes this week versus in pads last week?
Well, last week he went to the game with the intent of playing, and they said during warmups it just didn't feel right. Had some, I don't want to say pain, I don't know, just some uncertainty. Like you get those soft tissue injuries, and you're a Cadillac guy, Schlegs, or a Ferrari. Like something just doesn't feel
Cadillac,
right.
Yeah, he's fast.
So you're a Ferrari, like you don't want to mess with that. And like, let's be honest, you're playing Purdue. You look over and say, sit this one out, big dog, you'll be good. And then we'll start working through it this week. We'll see how it feels. If things kind of feel a little bit better, there's a greater degree of certainty with how you feel about it. And I think this week it was like, all right, we've made progress. I think they feel pretty good about things, but why rush it? Why risk subjecting it to something bigger? This isn't like an opt-out situation. He's sitting out or anything else. He wasn't in close because he was not going to play at all. Last week, the intent was for him to play. And so we'll see about this week. I wonder, do you try to get him to go this week, or do you just completely wait till Michigan and give him a full 3 weeks off? I'm not sure. But he's rehabbing going. But the thing is, they've got so much depth at wide receiver. It's not really a huge issue with him being out at least these last couple of weeks.
And I would say this too, Bob, just so everybody knows. And I think this may happen other places, but I want to make sure that you guys understand that it does not happen at Ohio State. This is not somebody's people said he's not going, or hey, here's our plan for him. Like that stuff right there does not happen at Ohio State. Just an FYI in case anybody thought it did. Because first off, Stu, Sean, the guys, the AT staff, they are so spot on. Brian Hartline, having played wide receiver, completely understands. Ryan Day from an offensive coordinator side completely understands. They're going to do whatever is best for the player and the team. And in these situations, like the player first, because they know not only do they need him to make this deep run, but also what he can be. And so they want to make sure with complete certainty that he is ready to go. It's the same thing that you saw with Jeremiah Smith, because Ryan Day came out and said, hey, he's been having some nagging things. And he played, a quarter and a half. And then guess what? You had a pitch count. You're out. You already made your unbelievable catch. You're good. And let's get some other dudes in there. We don't necessarily need you. And that also bodes back to it's not necessarily a luxury. And we said Jimmy's and Joe's run the X's and O's, you get it. But the development side, Bob, of our coaching staff and what they do, though this is a heavy, talented roster, you still have to be developing. And that's also the value proposition of coming to Ohio State. Regardless of where you are on that depth chart, they are going to develop you. And you will have an opportunity, good on good, day in and day out, to prove your worth and earn your opportunity in Ohio State and whoever you play against.
Yeah, and that's what we've got a chance to see. And partially with JJ, it looks like it's kind of like a quad thing. Like you can see his leg looks like he's getting a little stiff, and I think it's probably more of a bruise than like the contusion. And the thing is, like you get warmed up and you're good, and then the problem is you stand on the side for a while and you're not playing. It's like at that point, just put him on the shelf. Like there's no risk in trying to need to warm up and cool off every time.
It was funny because I was watching some of that. And it's like, man, he's sitting down, and I could tell, and I was like, and that's the thing, right? You go over there and unlike practice, just so you guys like practice, like you're just constantly going. And by the way, they structure practice to where you get up, right? Competitive excellence is high, and you go down. Why do they structure practice like that? Because that is the game. Okay, so you're gonna feel really good. To your point, Bob, you're gonna feel frothy. You've had all the stuff, man. Your body is lathered up, ready to go. And then as you get in the game, and then you're going and you're sitting and you're going and you're sitting and you're going and you're rotating, and it's just like, man, all right, yeah, this thing is getting tight. Like you got a bruise or something. Like those are hard. It's a lot. Trust me, guys. When you can run 23.85 miles an hour. You got to have all those things firing a full set. When you run what I do, right? Not so much. You can run through it and it's like, oh, he still looks fine. Yeah, because I'm running slow, right? Guys like that, no, like it all matters. And he'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll be good. And that's what the question that becomes this week. Schlage's like, how much do you play him this week? It's going to probably be a little cooler. The game should be nice. It's a noon game, which is great. It gives guys more time, which people don't realize this. Like the extra 4 or 5 hours, so people start getting treatment on Saturday night. Coaches get a jump start. Having that game at noon is big. 3:30 would have been fine, but Rutgers, it's an appropriate noon time, which I feel like that's when it should be. But I don't know, like, do you play him at all this week? Like, do you even risk putting him out there to see what he can do, or do you just say get as healthy as possible for the game next week?
Just so everybody knows, there's inherent risk every time you're in a weight room. There's inherent risk every time you're on a practice field. There's inherent risk every time you go into the game. And so to me, it's all predicated upon how do you feel throughout the week of practice. And if you feel really freaking good, go in there and get you some reps because you need it. Like people don't realize this. When you're dealing with those fine-tuned athletes, highly tuned athletes. Like, you got to touch the max velo qualities. Like, you're touching it twice a week. I don't need to live in there. But you have to be able to go touch it. And so that's why they go through the week knowing what that is, so then they know when they got to touch that max velo and what do they got to do in the weight room to make sure they're ready for the next week. All that matters. And I'll tell you this, if there's one thing Mick has done with their sports performance team there at Ohio State, like, they are talking about all these guys all the time, daily. And what is that plan? And my understanding is this, man, when you look at last year, they were the healthiest, most violent team in the country. Trust them. So I feel good.
That's what they need to be. All right. You want to feel good. You want to look good. You got to find our friends over at Backer, bckr.com. It's new fan gear that you're going to find out there. They've got all the Buckeye stuff you love, but they've got a couple other teams as well. It's almost Christmas time, folks. We're right there. These make great gifts. And this week, you're going to need to start wearing this stuff. Maybe for Team Up North for the Michigan game. Maybe this weekend. Pull some of this out. It looks good. It feels good. It's got all the features and functionality that you have and list that you want. And right now, free shipping on everything. So be sure to get there and get yourself a nice big Christmas order. And then also use promo code, all caps, BOBBY at checkout. That's going to get you an extra 10% off. How about that? Our friends at Backer, BCKR, taking care of you. All right. That's it for this. We've got our headlines coming up with our Players of the Week here on the Bobby Carpenter Show. All right, welcome back in the Bobby Carpenter Show. And we've got some of our Players of the Week. Who do you want to start off with, Schlegs? Pat, where do you want to go with this? We can go with the offense to start if you want. We can do special teams. We can dive into the defense. Let's start with the offensive line, Players of the Week. And you see some of the beefy dudes up there. Just start throwing them up. You've got number 75, Carson Hinsman, the center, doing a great job inside. And this is what happens, Schlegs, when you're able to run the ball like they did. Number 67, that's Austin Saravel. They're over there playing left tackle. And then also at left guard, you've got our guy, number 51, hailing from Findlay, Ohio, Mr. Luke Montgomery. So an awesome job. And when you run the ball as well as you do, those are going to be your offensive players of the week. And they did a great job running the ball. Special teams player of the week. There's only one guy there, Schlegs, that's going to be getting this. And you know exactly who it's going to be. It is Lorenzo Styles. And why don't you throw up that little we can do the field view of his touchdown if you've got that available, because, man, it was an unbelievable sight. Did not get touched. Here we go. Let's check it out and take a little peek.
A slip and a takeout by Lorenzo Styles. Looking for that crease. Lorenzo Styles gets a block. Lorenzo Styles, the former wide receiver, with a house call. Ohio State royalty to the crib.
Unbelievable. Looks so sweet, Schlegs. Such a good look.
And you saw Bryson Rogers was out there, right? You saw Will Kazmarek out there throwing a block. Like, and that's the thing, guys. Like, all these guys are playing all the positions. And, yeah, that was a great moment, too. There was another one of just those two guys celebrating. There was a lot of great stuff in this. There was Ryan Day with the WTF, man, that probably became a meme, right? He had his headset on. He was talking about the rest because there were some petty calls. We never get a holding penalty, but yet Austin literally grabbed the guy, like chopped his arms down and grabbed it, like just snagged him down to the ground holding. Like, I'm like, that was so petty. But there was a lot of great things in that, and that's a special moment that those dudes are going to remember for a long time.
Yeah, Lorenzo, funny enough, he said, I know Nate Ebner had been pushing to get it out because Ryan doesn't like to bring out the field goals because their offense is so, or the kickoffs because their offense is so good. So why risk stuff? But he said, I knew if I didn't bring it out, coach was going to be pissed if I didn't house it. So that was the answer. And Ryan gave some credit to Nate Ebner, too, for able to put that in and doing a great job there. Final player of the week, defensive player of the week. It's a guy who has been playing really good this year. Probably, no one's really talking about him because he hasn't made a ton of plays, but he's been super impactful with what he's been able to do. and setting up that defense and all the plays. But Caleb Downs, one of the best defensive players, if not the best defensive player in the country. He's got some battles on his own team with even Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles and the like, but playing really good, Schleiks.
Hey, bro, and they even lined him up. He had a quarterback pressure, Bob. They lined him up in the A gap.
Yeah.
So like what, are you going to count that guy? I'm just saying, like, guys, so everybody knows, like, that's why you do these things. It's like, well, what is he covering? Can they mug him up there and like play man with another linebacker on the running back and him read it? You can do a multitude of things with him, and he's a special player. But like, though the stats necessarily don't live up to other people and nobody may be talking about him, like, he is the one that helps run the show.
Yeah. He does. And that is it for this edition of Headlines. We've got our Tailgate Talk. We're going to answer your questions. So keep firing them away in the chat, and we'll get back to you here right after this minute on the Bobby Carpenter Show. I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage Beer. Beer flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool, and it doesn't taste like I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink Garage Beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage Beer. Beer flavored beer. All right, welcome back in the Bobby Carpenter Show. It's Tailgate Talk. We're answering your questions. One of the ones that came up earlier, we had in the chat. It's on 11 Warriors this morning. George and Chase said that they believe most Ohio State fans skip the next 2 games and just play simulations of them to get to November 29th. Do y'all agree? I don't know what that means. Like, you're muted. You muted yourself, Schleiks.
No, I did, because we had people talking in the office, and I'm respecting everybody. But here's the thing, Bob, about that. I think it was believe most Ohio State players are going to skip the next 2 games. You know what I mean? Like, maybe he is talking about fans. I don't know why you would skip the next 2, because that is the game. And I think it was maybe skipping the last game in this game, like Rutgers, UCLA and Rutgers. Why would you want that? The thing is this, to me as a fan, probably goes back to why people tell you to sit down, because they don't even know what the hell they're watching. So to me, when I'm going out there, I'm watching Lorenzo Styles take it out, and why is he doing it? I'm watching Caleb Downs playing in the A gap, and why Matt Patricia is doing that. I'm watching the blocks. I'm watching Luke Montgomery get to the second level, and Bo Jackson just bam hit that thing. And so that's why you go. That's why you watch. To me, that's why you're a fan, because you want to see right now in these games, man, Ohio State, it's a blowout, but who's the next up and coming guy? Who's going to be that person that can step up in a playoff? That's what I want to see.
Who's the guy that could be there for you in a pinch, just like your guy, Skull.
You mean Skull? Exactly. Always there to pitch. What a great tagline.
Terry asks, what was the biggest factor on why the run game did so well Saturday? Personnel or scheme?
Yeah.
You want to take your
answer?
Well, I think
go ahead.
Go for it.
No, I don't want to go for it. I put it in there for you.
That's what she said. Listen, I think it's a little bit of both. I think the offensive line did a pretty darn good job blocking. Gabe Van Sickle was in there. He played a lot. Him and Tegra were rotating. And it seems like that might be the solution that they might be rolling with. And that might get the best out of everybody in there with how much they play and when they have guys in. So that is part of it. And I think also, especially with Isaiah West and Bo Jackson and even James Peoples to a certain extent, a lot of it's confidence based. And so they're starting to have more success. You're feeling better about what they're doing. And subsequently, because of that, you start breaking some tackles, you trust the holes, you trust your vision. Then I think you're going to be a little bit more successful out there.
Yeah. I think too, Bob, in that situation, James, and guys, listen, the art of coaching is you got to do whatever you got to do to get the most value out of your players. And Bo started working his way in there, and then Isaiah West started working his way in there, and you really didn't see any C.J. Donaldson in this game. And James Peoples has been running very violent lately, right? That then culminated into hurdling a dude. I think even the broadcaster said hurdle him into the underworld or something like that.
Into the underworld.
But then you got a guy in Lincoln Keynotes excuse me, who
Played
goes
really
in
well.
3 for 3, 34 yards, but trucked the dude, right? And it just adds like a completely different element to the game. Can still throw the ball. There was a ball that he threw across the field. Like, man, that's a good football. We already knew that because that's why there was a quarterback competition because Lincoln's good. And so we're seeing all of these things because it carries you into Rutgers, the game, championship game, the playoffs, and you need to have them. You don't know who's going to be available. You don't know what's going to transpire. I mean, hell, we had Seth McLaughlin. He's freaking rolling 5.13 at Penn State. Boom, Achilles. Like crazy talk for an offensive lineman to have that, and it happened. So you're preparing these guys all the time. And the one that kind of stood out from the offensive line perspective was Gabe, obviously. He had more reps, I believe, than Tegro, but he played very, very well. And the biggest thing, too, going back to your point, yeah, when they can go up and B-block and get to the next level, and on the one where Bo hit that real big one right up the middle, he didn't have to double him. Like the guy crossed Carson's face, took him. It was like a hand, and then I'm up, and that's all you needed.
Really well done. There's another great question in there, and it comes into wrinkles and experience and stuff for Michigan. We'll get to that here later. We're going to take a quick break, Schlegel, and we're going to come back with your parting thoughts and side nuggets of Anthony Schlegel. Welcome back in. Final segment of the show. Here's Schlegs. It's yours.
Yeah,
I knew this was going to be you. I knew you were going to put this in here. You're a meatball.
Hey, throw it up there, Pat. Look at this, man. As I'm spitting all over the place. Ohio State leaves no doubt, claims national duels invitational title with 27-12 win over Iowa. And it was the whole time. And Jesse Mendez, two-time national champion. I think they honored him earlier in the season, which was fun to watch that, Bob. But here's the cool part about this, and I like that they're doing this. The purse. There was a purse for this. The purse was $200K.
Nice.
Man, guess what? That bodes well because, I mean, I know, like, Tom, hey, here's some money, guys. Like, let's go attack and dominate. But that's kind of fun to see, and you're getting, like, really good competition in a national duel early in the season. Buckeyes, Tom Ryan. I see you, man.
I love it. Love to get some cash. Like
that was great.
Stack it vertical, count it sideways. Do you think they gave him it in cash, just a duffel bag after the?
No, I mean, honestly, probably Happy Gilmore style, just the big check. Yeah. We'll cash that at Huntington.
There you go. Take this giant check over there.
Local bank, maybe Heartland. Take it down there. Scott McCombs. Hey, Scott, I need you to cash this, baby.
Perfect. All right. Well, that's it for this edition of the show. We'll get Bill Bender on tomorrow. We'll break down some of the craziness with Alabama falling from the ranks of the undefeated in-conference SEC. Now with their second loss, getting a little frothy, getting a little squirrely as we're coming down the home stretch. So stay locked in here on the Bobby Carpenter Show.